Hey everyone, I'm here with a beautiful Nachlaot couple, and yeah, they're stunning, and I'm here, and Larissa wants to kind of talk to us a little bit about your marriage, who you are, all that good stuff.
Hi, I'm Larissa. I'm originally from the Washington, D.C. area, and I moved to Israel about 4 years ago. And I currently live in Nachlaot with my wife, Jeanne.
Hi.
And we met a few years ago when we were in seminary, and then reconnected later on and started dating and got married this summer.
That's beautiful. You guys met in seminary before you made aliyah?
No, I made aliyah before I went to seminary.
Ah, cool. That's really interesting. How did you guys said that you met in sem, and you guys reconnected. When do you guys reconnect? A few years later, or?
I had been out, maybe it was 6 months after, and we ended up in the same ulpan.
Oh, so that's so cool. And then you guys, so at the time you were already out, or did you slowly come out?
Yeah, I've been out since I was pretty young, since I had a word.
Oh,
and
really?
I also am interested in men, and when I became religious, I figured it will be easier just to go with that part of me, and I didn't think I had to pay attention to the part of me that was interested in women, and I was proven wrong.
Okay, cool. And were you raised religious?
I was not raised religious. I was raised knowing I was Jewish in a sort of reform home. My dad's not Jewish. And having a strong Jewish identity, but no observance, no idea what observance even looked like. Wow. And when I moved to Israel, I got connected with the Heritage House in the Old City, which is an organization that does outreach and teaches unaffiliated Jews a little bit more about Judaism. And I began to get more and more interested in living a more religious lifestyle. And they connected me with a seminary, and then I started keeping more aspects of Judaism, and yeah.
And did you feel like when you were out and in a religious setting, like in a SEM setting, or even post SEM, like in any religious community, did you feel accepted? Did you feel like this was a good space for you, like a safe space for you?
It's kind of up and down. For a while, I thought I could just ignore it because it wasn't relevant. And I've noticed more now that I'm married, I'm constantly coming out because people ask me, oh, so who's your husband?
Oh,
I'm like, okay, so wife. And that confuses people, and it's a bit scary each time to come out. But for the most part, I've had a great response, and I work in a very religious neighborhood, and most of my customers who have asked anything about me getting married know, and I've had generally good responses.
Yeah. I feel like that's really important. I feel like that's one of the main reasons why people are scared to come out, is that communal acceptance from the religious community specifically.
Absolutely.
And did you feel like you're out and, you're accepted and your life is great, and then you got married and things changed? Or did you feel like it was just a natural progression? People didn't think it was different?
I don't know. Before we got married, I guess I felt like it didn't have to come out all the time. Especially when we were engaged. The word fiancé is gender neutral, which was very nice.
Yeah.
And wife is not.
Good point.
So it did change when we got married, just because the language changes and it automatically outs you. But I think it has been good for me. It's because it's doing something that scares me is telling someone, but it's amazing to see people react in a way that surprises me. Because in my head, I have an idea of how every religious person thinks about me, and I find out that I'm generally wrong, which is really positive.
Yeah.
And it makes me like my community even more.
Wow, that's amazing. I feel like that's such a positive thing to hear, especially in Jerusalem, in Nachlaot.
Absolutely.
There are such stereotypes, but...
Right, and all the time I'm coming home with stories of how the stereotypes I had in my own head, are proven wrong by this community.
Wow.
So.
That's awesome. That's so cool. Shan, do you want to talk?
Yeah. So I have a bit of different story from Larissa. So I'm French, and I grew up also with a father who's a non-Jew, mother who's Jewish, but who didn't grow up with Judaism either, so didn't grow up with anything related to Judaism, besides the fact that we knew we were Jewish. And then about 10 years ago, when I was 18, we met Chabad, or Chabad found us. I don't know how it works, and and that's how I really got into Judaism. After class after class, and conferences, and Shabbaton, and a lot of things. And so Chabad in France told me about a seminary in Jerusalem, and that's why I decided, well, why not? I'll just go. And I was supposed to stay for a few months, and I stayed longer. I stayed for the whole year. Made aliyah, went back to the seminary, and that's when we met. And
we were roommates.
We were roommates. We were roommates in the seminary. And and then I just left the seminary, and we went to the same Ulpan a few months later. So that was really nice.
Were you already out when you left France?
That's a very good question. So I came out the first time when I was 17 or 18. So it was about at the same time when I met Chabad, and I started getting interested in Judaism. I became more religious, more observant, very into Chabad.
Yeah.
And very Chabad. Went to New York and was helping in France, helping organize Chabad Shabbaton and Chabad conferences and things like that. And so when I went to Jerusalem, when I came to Jerusalem to seminary, I was religious, Chabad.
Yeah. And
so I thought, when I was in France, I thought that at one point I would have to choose between, being a lesbian and being Jewish, religious, and observant. And so that was a pretty difficult choice, and I didn't make that choice for a long time. And then I chose Judaism.
Wow.
And I was ready to marry a man. And, for God, I would do anything, so I would just do it. And, it doesn't work that way at all. And at one point, I just exploded. I was gonna actually marry a man. I was engaged. Really? And Chabad, Chabad light, you know what I mean? Like Bal Tshuva. And, a week before the wedding, I just couldn't do it. So I just came out a second time in Jerusalem.
Wow.
And it was very interesting because people were proud of me. Like everyone knew. Not everyone, but a lot of people knew, and they were like, you're gonna be unhappy your whole life. And I was like, but it's for God, it's okay. But then it's when I actually met Ariel and Esther and Shabbat Shelach, and I saw that you don't have to make a choice. You can be both. Yeah. You can be in the LGBTQ community, and you can be Jewish, religious, Orthodox, observant, and have a relationship with God. Right. Doesn't mean that God doesn't love you, doesn't mean that you're a bad Jew. So I just came out, and it was the best. I remember it was the best day of my life.
Wow.
Well, one of them. Got married since, so So yeah. But it was there, top 5. It was just like it was like just this feeling of freedom, of taking my life back and saying you know what? This is who I am. I'm not gonna stop being who I am and I'm both parts.
Yeah.
So I'm not gonna be a lesbian but not a Jew, or a Jew but not a lesbian. It just doesn't work. And like since then I've been like I've had a relationship with God that is healthier, because I'm happier, because I'm myself and I'm not hiding. So yeah, it was a pretty nice journey.
Wow.
Yeah.
You know, like, I mean, throughout your entire story, I have like my arm hair like standing. I have like the best chills in the world, like overcoming me.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like some of like the more surprising parts, to me at least, that like maybe, I don't know if the people in your life were Chabad, but that coming out in Jerusalem a week before your wedding, in a Chabad community, people still supported you and took you. Or was it not the Chabad friends and it was more your other friends?
Yeah, like some friends, still my friends, and still, you know, talk once in a while. How you doing?
Yeah.
You know, once a year, or Shana Tova, you know. But the connection got lost, let's say, because I'm choosing a different life. And a lot of people around me, like I guess mostly Balchuvas or people who are more open-minded, were supportive, and people who were actually around me and saw me that I was miserable.
Wow.
And so it was challenging, because I was pretty religious and Chabad for a lot of years, and it was the only way I knew Judaism.
Yeah.
So it was it's nice now.
I feel like throughout conversations I've had, like a common theme of people in general is that we all believe that religion looks a certain way or Judaism looks a certain way, and we find our way to Israel, and then somehow it all opens. Like the doors open, you get to see a more authentic view of yourself, of Judaism.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really inspirational to see that like two women found that. And like I feel like people don't realize how special it is to find out who you are, and then to live authentically and to be who you are. And you have to choose one side.
So I think that we're very lucky to be in a community here in Nachlaot, in the center of Jerusalem, that is very open-minded. I don't know about other communities in Israel.
Of course.
Like it's you have to choose also where you live, and in a community that's gonna be open-minded. And like there are certain parts of Jerusalem where we wouldn't be, you know, accepted the same way that we are here. So
and so you guys met, you guys started Ulpan together, and you guys just like knew it, like click or what?
One of us knew
Explain.
it.
I need details. Explain to me, what is this?
You can talk.
Do you want
I'll fill the blanks.
So Jeanne convinced me to go to a party with a few friends from our seminary. This is when we were in Ulpan. And I had been feeling lonely and not knowing how to meet people after seminary, since we all know it's hard to meet people when you're not in school anymore.
Fair.
So she convinced me to go. And when I got there, I found out she wasn't going to be there for another, 3 hours. And I waited for her anyway. And
For my defense, I was working.
she was working. But
Fine.
she thought this was more of like a I like you kind of thing for us, I think. And I thought, oh, we're friends now.
I mean, we were friends.
Right.
Not much.
But
You guys
yeah.
were some roommates. Of course you were friends.
We were roommates, but we didn't hang out together in seminary.
Oh, okay.
So we knew each other. We didn't hate each other, but we were just roommates, and we weren't even in the same classes. And I thought she was loud and annoying in class.
And I thought she was boring.
And I was studious.
Yeah.
Okay. So you thought this was like kind of a date?
No, I knew it wasn't a date.
Okay.
But it was
Could
we've
lead
been
to something.
Yeah, it could lead to something. I was like, every day we were seeing each other in Ulpan and spending time together during break, and so one thing leads to another. And that's what I was thinking.
A few weeks later, we were at a Shabbat meal, and after a few glasses of wine, Jeanne said to me, we weren't even officially dating at this point, if this was a shidduch, I already know. And I was not prepared to hear that. I was shocked. I was still trying to figure out how I felt.
But yeah, I just knew. Wow. And then we decided that we were gonna go to, like a few months later, I guess, we decided we were gonna go to America to, meet the family and spend time a bit in America. And so I got in touch with her sister. I said, I'm gonna propose to her.
Stop.
So
we had discussed it at this point.
It was
not a surprise. It was a surprise when and how, but not that we were gonna get married.
Got it. Okay.
But we've discussed it, but and so her sister was very excited. So we organized a thing, we went to a resort with her parents, and I asked her parents, so why I'm here also, because they knew.
Right.
And her father was like, so ask. And so I asked, and her mother said, are you sure she's gonna say yes?
Oh no.
So that was the funny part, and she did say yes, and we got married a year later.
Wow.
Also in America.
Really?
Yeah.
That's really amazing. First of all, that your families accepted and supported you guys, but also this connection is amazing. In the next one, we're going to talk a little bit more about the marriage.